Hi everyone, this is Kasia. Welcome to Tarot Map. Today we are going to be talking about the constellation of Cygnus. Cygnus is the Heavenly Swan. It's one of the most beautiful, easy to spot constellations in the sky in the northern hemisphere. Often it's called the Northern Cross because Cygnus creates like a shape that reminds of a cross. And it has a long neck with the star Alberio at the end of the head, and in the tail is the brightest star in this constellation called Deneb. And Deneb at some point I think was also our North Star or polar star, right? So Cygnus as a constellation, as I said, it's quite easy to find. Deneb is a very, very bright star. It's actually way, way bigger than the sun, but it's very, very far away compared, for example, to Vega that's in the Lyra constellation next door. I always spot Vega first because it's a really bright star as well. And Deneb and Altair, which is in the constellation of the Eagle, they create something that's called summer triangle. And when I was recently having a bonfire and looked up at the sky when it wasn't that dark yet, all I could see was this triangle, and I was thinking, wow, this is the summer triangle, you could spot Deneb, you could spot Vega, and you could spot Altair from the Eagle constellation. So summer triangle is created from images of birds and the Lyra kind of object. So often Cygnus is connected to music, it's connected to death. There is this elusive legend that when a swan dies, it makes this, or it sings this death song. Nobody heard it. It's a bit like, with the flower of a fern in Slavic legends. Nobody heard that song, but apparently it's so beautiful. Okay, let's focus on a couple of stars from the constellation of the Swan. And based on the information from Stellar Nations, which I highly recommend you check out, Soul Family Books of Stellar Nations by two Hungarian ladies. I'm going to link their website below in the description. They say that in general, the constellation of the Swan is a very wonderful, energetic world when there is a huge gate of redemption and where you can really feel the presence of Christ consciousness. And this has nothing to do with Christianity. The religion is just the purity of consciousness just present on this star. And they say here, I'm going to quote them, that a wonderful picture was revealed related to the recognition as the Sadr enraptured us and showed us that there is a very special mystery, a really powerful and important gate of redemption living on this star. We understood that the former messengers of Christ seem to take retreat in the shelter of the Swan. Those who had somehow denied their fate and their pathway and departed from that for any reason betrayed their belief and thus the pathway of the stellar nation of the bears. They had stepped out of the bonds of the temple of Christ and looked for new ways, but they could never find such peace and love that had surrounded them in their original heavenly home. Therefore, they could retreat and return to this Sadr star and go through the gate of redemption for themselves. The star of Sadr is actually a consciousness focus and a special energy field. If you have any of the stars activated in your charts, in your astrology charts, this cross, the Northern Cross, shows the exact choreography of the self-punishing cycles which could have created numerous recurring suffering, humiliation, exile, physical pain, loss, and lives lived in solitude. Sun currently kind of projects onto around 24, 56 or 25 degrees Aquarius. And on the one hand, the location of Sadr and what's happening on the star energetically. Apparently, there's like a special initiating school for the fairies, where the fairies can learn to see the spirit of the plants and to understand the language of the plants. So they learn the secrets of how to extract the healing power of the flowers, plants, and crystals, and use them in the healing for other people. So if you have any planets or points in your chart around 25 degrees Aquarius, 24, 25, you may have this star activated, and you can have special affinity for homeopathy or asoma, Bach flower essences or flower essences in general, phytotherapy, infusions made by, infusions made from plants and herbs, and related to the pathway of the healing priestesses, okay? So this is quite an interesting star. And when it comes to Deneb, with the star of Deneb, which is the brightest, the biggest star, one of the brightest stars in our heavens, but it's very, very far away from our galaxies. But Deneb, from the perspective of the stellar nations, it projects on 23, 24 Aquarius. But in its energy, it transmits kind of like yang, masculine fire energy through a feminine vessel. It connects with the material realm. So Deneb, if you have 23, 38, 24 degrees Aquarius in your charts, it is actually activating and saying that you have certain frequency and resonance with establishing frames, foundations for certain dreams which have been maybe conceived somewhere else in the universe, so with Deneb, the plan and idea seed starts to be anchored. It is a star of manifestation, and it teaches mystery of the manifestation and anchoring into the planetary reality, the establishment of the frames and foundations. So of course this is also something that you may be learning, but you will have, if you have Deneb activated in your charts, you will have resonance and reciprocity to be maybe the teacher of manifestation, learning how to manifest in your life, maybe having issues with manifestation, only to practice and develop that side of yourself. So this constellation is very mysterious, and I think energetically connecting with the stars of Deneb, of Sad, of Alberio, it brings maybe some personal revelations to you when you try and do that. So my advice would be really, if you're connected to Legends of Avalon, if you're connected to Divine Feminine, and you have this sense of needing redemption or repeating the cycles of punishing yourself, it would be a wonderful constellation to work with and to reconnect with, to add, this kind of idea of self-love and acceptance. In the stellar nations, they also say that it was revealed to them that Deneb is actually a stellar cradle for fairies and for the elves, that there were apparently 3 tribes or like 3 soul communities born on this star, and they call them like elves, fairies, and fire elves, and they are special flame-like creatures whom they didn't know here on earth, as they are gardeners of the stars. They look after the fire surface of the stars and nourish them so that their lights do not fade out. I just love those, mythological kind of beautiful storytelling of stellar nations. So that's also Deneb. If you have that star activated in your charts, there is something, maybe you have a special affinity for communing with spirit nature, seeing fairies, sensing them around you. Maybe you have a specially well-developed green farm, or you love plants, you love gardening. With the stellar nations, this is something that I'm exploring right now. And basically the idea is that we have, a stellar consciousness, that we're multi-dimensional beings, and then there are parts of our conscious selves living on these different stars, and just like fractals, of our beings. And the more we open up and to those stellar nations, to the energies of ourselves being on these stars, the more we can, the deeper we can understand our life purpose and how multidimensional and galactic we are. And this is very fascinating. It's a totally different take on it. You can get your own Antares code, it's called, and check out the work of Leslie Shankman, because she's kind of bringing this into the West and translating a lot of stuff from Hungarian into English, so that a lot of people that don't speak Hungarian can access this information. The myth of Cygnus as a swan and why swan was kind of immortalized in heavens. There's a couple of various myths going on. One says that Cygnus started out in life as a Trojan hero who was killed by Achilles, and in the last moment he was transformed into a white swan by his father Poseidon. But the most famous swan myths are connected to Zeus, and one says that Zeus changed into a swan and took swan's form to seduce Leda. And when they mated, she also, I think, changed into a bird. Out of the union and this sexual connection were two enormous eggs that Leda kind of brought to life, created with Zeus. One egg was Castor and Pollux, and the other one was Helen and Clytemnestra of Troy. Zeus also, in another take on this myth, is said to mate with goddess Nemesis, the stern goddess of fate, and seduce her in the form of a white swan when she took pity on the eagle Aquila, which the swan pursues through all eternity along the Milky Way. I wanted to just take a look at the symbolism of the swan. The earliest one that I found, and I'm basing this on this Lady and the Beasts book by Buffy Johnson, and you can see these Paleolithic figurines found on Malta, near Lake Baikal, actually, in Siberia, and they are definitely goddess figurines with long necks and swan heads. So very often the creative power of the goddess in the very, very, very beginning was connected to the birds, was the bird goddess, and swan was one of the symbols of the goddess of the birds. Later on, from like more Greek mythology, swans are very much connected to Mother Mary. They're connected to Bridget. They're connected to Venus and to Aphrodite. Here in Hethien's Mysteries of Mother Mary tarot deck, she put Swan's image into the moon card, and she connected the swan to the goddess Bridget. And it's interesting that swan connects this kind of two elements. It's a little bit like a temperance card. It's very alchemical because it seems to be connecting and balancing the masculine and the feminine. Even the imagery from Paleolithic that I showed you, they're very kind of phallic. The neck of the swan is very phallic, but then there's also this gracefulness and flow that's very feminine. In the Black Madonna, Mysteries of the Black Madonna, the swan appears on 9 of the black veils. That is a card connected to Black Moon Lilith and to Chariklo. A swan is definitely one of the animals and birds that I keep seeing around me here all the time. They are very present in Northern Hemisphere. I read somewhere that in their beak, they also have this ability to live on salt and sweet water. We can see them on the seas, we can see them on the lakes, on the rivers, during winter, during summer. all year round. They're fascinating birds. They love their youngs. They marry for life and mate for life. They're very loyal like that. So there's just mystery around them, and they're beautiful and graceful. And often in my culture, in my country, connected to grace in general. I'm going to have a true sidereal webinar, interactive webinar in September. So if you want to sign up, I'm going to advertise it soon, and it will be on sale. It's going to be $35 for 2-hour Zoom. It's going to be experiential. It's not like a class. It's more like I'm going to provide you with short information, and you're going to receive your true sidereal chart, which is a real sky chart, astrology chart. So if you want to sign up for that, please watch this space, subscribe to my newsletter on my website, and I'm going to advertise through the first 2 subscribers. All right, thank you so much for watching. Bye.